I never know if this thing is on or not. There we are. It says go live, and then it doesn't say anything. So it's like I never know if it actually starts. One of these times I'm going to get this right. Third time's a charm. You'd never know I've been doing this for, is this year number 5? It's either 5 or 6. Okay, so today I'm going to recap my mock, and we're going to talk about somebody that I'm not a very big fan of. But, which I don't like to do, but it has to be addressed because at this point I feel like I'm banging my head against a brick wall. By the way, I don't recommend doing that. It will hurt. You'd be stunned that I have to tell you to do that. But if the things that are on, warning labels tell us anything, apparently you need to tell people these things. Anyway, I meant to recap my mock at the end. I was going to do it after pick 10 or something, and I totally forgot to do it. Then I realized 9 or 10 picks later, I was like, oh, hey, I was going to recap. And I didn't. And I was like, I'll do it at the end. And then I forgot to do it again. Isn't having ADD fun? I swear I'd forget my head if it wasn't attached. I wanted to say something there, but I can't. I'm trying to keep this channel clean-ish. All right. Be surprised how difficult that is. I curse like a sailor. Anyway, my mock was pick 1. I had the Jags going with Trevor Lawrence. I feel like that is, to this day, the easiest choice on the face of the earth. I mean, I had to put zero thought behind that. That's who's going number 1. Even if he stayed another year, he would have been first next year. It's one of those where you go, he's going to be number 1. He's probably the most polished of the quarterbacks in the draft. I will admit that I have a tie at 2. Trevor Lawrence is 1. I've heard people say that Zach Wilson is better than Trevor Lawrence, and all I have to say about that is at a talent level, I'm going to say no. I think Trevor has more talent. Now, when it comes to that it factor, which is Pat Mahomes. Now, when I say this, I'm not comparing them. I'm not saying he's going to become this. No, I'm saying Pat Mahomes has that ability where he goes, I can take over a game and win. Deshaun Watson has a little bit of it. He hasn't shown it a lot with the Texans. I mean, he has, but it's one of those where you go, winning-wise, he hasn't shown it with the Texans. But where you win because Deshaun Watson's Deshaun Watson. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, the really good quarterbacks where they have that it factor where my team can be playing awful, but I'm going to make us win. I think Zach Wilson has a little more of that than Trevor, but talent-wise, it's Trevor Lawrence all day long. Pick 2, I have this flip-flopping because I honestly can't make up my mind. The Jets going with Zach Wilson. He just had his pro day. Was it last week? I forget. It was recent. Saw him making some throws. I'm going to have to review it a little harder. I watched a highlight reel. I don't like watching highlight reels, but it seems to be the excellent way to watch some of this stuff when you don't have cable. So I'm going to have to do a deeper dive on that. I didn't see Trevor Lawrence's tape for his pro day because it's not needed. And then the guy I have going third to the Niners is Fields. Those are where I flip-flop. I could see the Jets taking either Wilson or Fields. I think Sam Darnold's done. Of course, then again, this goes to the next part that I'm going to talk about after I'm done recapping. I was never high on the quarterback they have to begin with. Wonder why. It's almost like statistics had something to do with that. Again, we'll get into that in a minute. And the Niners taking Fields, the Falcons taking Pitts. I think that you got to give Matt Ryan weapons. The Bengals taking Rashawn Slater. The Dolphins taking Jamar Chase. The Lions taking Penei Sewell. The Panthers taking Trey Lance. The Broncos taking Patrick Surtain. The Cowboys taking Farley. So that is, I believe that's, 10 or 11, something like that. I don't have them numbered. Giants taking Parsons. Eagles taking Devontae Smith. I would be stunned to see him fall that far, but when you look at the board, I wouldn't be stunned if he went to the Dolphins, to be honest with you. But it seems that would be where he would fall to. Do I think somebody eventually would go, ooh, we need him? Sure. Like the Falcons could do that. They could go, well, Julio is ending his long career here eventually. We got to get somebody young behind him that can still make plays. And I could see them going, oh, Devontae Smith does that, which is what they did a couple years ago with Calvin Ridley. Next, I had the Chargers taking Darisaw, the Vikings taking Elijah Vera Tucker, the Patriots, again, this is my big question mark because the Patriots are weird, taking Mac Jones, and I'm still not in love with that choice. I don't like Mac Jones at all. I don't think he's that talented. He does some things very well, but especially when you look back at Alabama quarterbacks. Let's see. Let's go back. I think we're over a decade now. You had who was before Josh? Who was before McCarron? McElroy. Greg McElroy played a couple years as a backup, washed up, gone. McCarron, career backup. Not that he's not good, but career backup, pocket passer. Meh. After McCarron, it was the kid that was a running back. I can't think of his name right now. He didn't go anywhere. After him, it was I almost said Barrett Jones, and that's not it. Or Barrett. That's Blake Barnett. I believe I'm correct. He didn't go anywhere. After that, it was that would have been 2016, so that would have been Hurts' first season. Then they had Tua. Hurts, who's an alpha and has that it factor, and they let him leave. Don't know why. Then they have Tua, who I think is talented, but we gotta wait and see. This year was weird. I don't put a lot of stock in this year for college or NFL. They just had Jones, who's not that great. It's one of those where you go, if you look down the board, you don't typically have amazing quarterback play. But I looked at the board, and that's the best available guy, and I don't see them moving away from best available. Cardinals, I have them getting J.C. Horn. I have the Raiders taking Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I have the Dolphins coming back and taking ETN. I think it'd be good to surround you with as many weapons as you can, especially if you're not 100% in on Tua. This way you can give him infinite weapons and go, if you play well, you play well. And if you don't, well, we know you're not our guy. I have the Bears taking Washington taking Jenkins. The Bears taking Waddle. The Colts taking Liam Eichenberg. Their pro day was yesterday. I 100% agree still with my decision of them taking Eichenberg. He wowed me during their pro day of what I was able to see. Titans taking Gavin Newsom. The Jets taking Azeez Ojulari. The Steelers taking Najee Harris. The Jags taking Sam Cosmi. The Browns taking Pay. I thought I was like, that can't be right. Kwity Paye. The Ravens taking Morig. The Saints taking Bateman. The Packers taking Zaven Collins. The Bills taking Phillips, the defensive end from Miami. The Chiefs taking Terrence Marshall Jr. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade that. I also have them possibly going in on Radens, but I'm not as high on him. If they were to trade back, then I could see them taking Radens. The Bucks taking Onwuzurike, and also wouldn't be stunned if they trade out of that. That is my first round mock draft. I don't typically do round two, but I might just for fun. If I do, I'll add it on here. The next thing I want to get to is something I don't like to talk about because I don't like doing this, but it needs to be addressed because it's laughable. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but and when I say guys, I'm not using gendered language. I'm using this the overall descriptor in the English language to mean most people. You don't like that I used it. I apologize if it offends you. I don't mean to do that. Typically, men are the ones who mostly watch football, so that would be, first of all, why I would say that. Secondly, the English language dictates that that's typically how you address large groups of people. I know that the English language is constantly evolving, but last I checked, that's still the current way to address masses groups. I'm forever going to apologize if you can hear the high squeak of the water bottle. There's nothing I can do about that. It's because it has a straw. So there's a reporter, and I use that term as loosely as possible because he doesn't report much. I mean, he makes shit up, but I apologize for that. He makes stuff up, but, other than that, that's pretty much it. And then there's Colin Cowherd, and he made a mock draft, what does it say on here, 5 days ago, in which he said it would be the most accurate mock draft for the next hour. It's not. Even in that hour, no. So first he has Trevor Lawrence going. It was his mock draft. I put the duh comment next to it, obviously. He did a different one, which I have on here also. No problem with that. He said he plays better. He is Justin Herbert, but plays with better people. No, he's not. Justin Herbert is one of those guys that I say that has that it factor. He's a really good player. He was surrounded by talent at Oregon, and he still looked amazing. You put Trevor Lawrence in that, I don't know if he looks as good. Still think he looks fine, but he probably looks more like a Mac Jones. A bit more mobility. That's right. I said it. You want to fight about it? Sorry. I said this is laughable. No, he isn't. And the players were better. Doesn't mean that he's better. Pick 2, move from Sam Darnold and pick Zach Wilson, which I found kind of shocking from Colin Cowherd since he's been beating the drum for Sam Darnold for the last, has he been there for 4 years? Sam Darnold wasn't that good. Coming out of college, all the constant experts said the same thing that I just kept laughing about, which is he throws a good ball. He's thick. He's hard to take down. He's got decent athletic ability. I'm going, we're going to discuss the turnovers? He has decent vision. Never did they mention he led all of college football in turnovers. 2 years in a row. 1 year it was interceptions. The next year it was fumbles. Oh, by the way, when I say that, I don't mean the interceptions went away. I just mean he had more fumbles. He is not that good, but he's white, so they'll take him. I'll get into that in a second. Sorry, I'm using my phone. I don't like using my phone. I find it unprofessional, but this is how I took the information down at the time. Third, Trey Lance. He called his own protection at NDSU. Look, that would be the Niners. I don't have a problem with that. I think Fields is better, but I could see them getting Trey Lance. It wouldn't be out of the question. 4, Sewell. That's the Falcons. They picked a left tackle last year or 2 years ago, so I scratched my head about that. But that is best player available. I'm not going to, give you too much on that. 5, Slater. That's the Bengals. You're not going to get me to disagree with you on that. I think you get him and kick him in at guard. 6, the Dolphins take Pitts. I'm cool with that pick. I have them taking Jamar Chase, but if Pitts is still available, yeah, you go grab him. That's not even a debate. Sorry, I'm reading it. I'm a couple picks behind because I got to refine where I am. 7 goes to Chase. That would be the Lions. No problem there. Again, that would be the best player available. If Sewell's gone, yeah, you take a receiver. 8, Fields. That's the Panthers. No problem with that. 9, Farley. 10, Surtain. 11, Vera Tucker. 12, Smith. I don't see Smith falling to. Well, okay, I guess. I disagree, but okay. Oh, sorry, that's the Eagles. My brain was on the Chargers. I was like, why would the Chargers take a receiver? Never mind. No, we agree on that. That's the Eagles. Denver moves to Falcons. It's one of his picks. I could see it happening. And his projection was Denver's going to go get a quarterback. No. I think this is the last year you give the youngster you got back there. It's the guy from Missouri. Sorry, I can't think of his name right now. I don't have a problem with that, but I mean, if you were to move up to get a weapon, fine. But to get a quarterback, no. I think you give the youngster you've got one more year, and you give him. I mean, if you move up that far to get offensive linemen, cool. But otherwise, I think you sit where you are and you take a corner because you don't really have a lot of depth back there. This is the one where he said that it was 24 hours later, or 24 hours ago. Sorry. 1, same. 2, same. And here's where we're going to get into something that I need to talk about, which I have in here. And he has Fields going third to the Niners. I don't have a problem with that. Like I said, I think the Niners take Fields. Then he talked about something that I got to address here that I find interesting. So Justin Fields had his pro day yesterday, the day before, something like that. And I have not seen it. So I'll lead with my disclaimer. I haven't seen it. I'm sure he did well. I saw his 40 time, which I thought was pretty impressive. Like to see some of the throws he made just because it's good to see the comparable, match it up against Wilson. And he said, Justin Fields came out and everybody's Justin Fields, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, have you forgotten about Zach Wilson? No, dum-dum. They are talking about the guy because he's the one that just actually played. And they're talking about the Jets moving up to get Fields moving up the board to go to the Jets. Like I said, in reality, I have hang on. I have this as my clear, if I could write correctly. Lawrence is my clear QB1, and when it comes to QB2, I have sorry, I want it for my own notes so that way I don't forget that I said this. I mean, it's been my stance for a while, but one of those where I will forget to mention it. Zach Wilson and Justin Fields, I have as QB2 for both of them. I have QB2A for Fields, QB2B for Wilson. Why? They have comparable statistics when it comes to throwing accuracy. One played a better competition, but they're comparable. It's not, 1 through 4. It's not like if you took, trying to think of a good comparison. I was going to go with Drew Brees, but that wouldn't work. He's been in the league long enough. If you took Joe Burrow from coming out of LSU and you took Allen from the Bills and you stuck their QB, their passing percentage in college side by side, you'd go, there's a clear drop off here. One's at almost 70%, and you're at, I think it was 50, 58, 59, something like that. Clear drop off. One is 1, the other's 2. Their percentages are close. I haven't looked at the numbers exactly, but I'm going to, I haven't broken down all their years. I'm comparing them to this year only. Their numbers are comparable. They're not, it's not a huge drop off. Their arm talent, I think, is close. I think Wilson probably has more of the short yardage completions. What I mean by that is that's more of his rhythm. He's more of a drop, find, throw, which is also my comparison to Trey Lance, which is he makes a lot of one-play reads. Wilson's better at reading defenses compared to Lance, as I would say Fields is better than Wilson at that. I think Fields produces more offense because of his scrambling ability. Not that Wilson isn't athletic. It's just that I think Fields is faster. But to get to my point, Colin Cowherd from Fox said We should forget Fields' thing, and we should talk about Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, blah, blah, blah. He went on for a minute. That's why I said that. And I'd like to point something out. When Sam Darnold came out, who were the QBs in that draft class? I'll pull it up for you. See, Sam Darnold came out in 17, I want to say. I'm double checking the year first. Give me a second. 18. Okay. I'm getting my information from PFF, which is a reliable source. I don't agree with some of their stats and the way they do their grading system, but we'll agree that they are a reliable source. So, to give you an idea of who else was in the class with Sam Darnold, I'm trying to find a list. Here we go. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, as I said, Rosen, Jackson, Josh Allen, Mason Rudolph. Okay. Did we hear Colin talk about Lamar Jackson? Oh, yeah. He thought he should switch. And then he changed his mind. And then he was like, well, somebody will take him, but I don't know. All I heard him talk about was Sam Darnold. Oh, look, more Sam Darnold. I guess Josh Allen's okay. Sam Darnold. That's all I heard him talk about the entire year. And I heard him tell us that Baker was trash. Although I'm not super high on Baker, he's a fine quarterback. He doesn't work well when, I'm saying this based on his record, when he has easy games. I think he overthinks things. But overall, he's a serviceable quarterback. Rosen, he was really high on Rosen. I'll admit I was high on Rosen. I think he has ability, but teams seem to be impatient with him, and I'm not sure why. I'm sure there's something to that. Mason Rudolph. I liked Mason Rudolph coming out of college. I like the situation he's in, assuming he's still with the Steelers. To my knowledge, he's still with the Steelers. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. There's been so much stuff going on with free agency, it's hard to keep track of who's where and who's restricted and who isn't restricted. I feel like he's still there, but I could be wrong. That's the class. Now, the reason I bring that up, do you remember the year Mitch Trubisky came out? Give you a little recap on who was in that class. Mitchell Trubisky, Deshaun Watson, and this other guy, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. His name's Patrick Mahomes. Who talked up Mitch Trubisky? Oh, Colin. Seeing a trend here. He likes to talk about white quarterbacks. Stunner, I know. Am I accusing him of being racist? No, I'm just pointing out there seems to be a pattern. Same thing with ESPN. Seems to be a pattern. You guys all like the white guys, but the black guys not so much, especially if you talk to Mel Kiper, who is the biggest laughing stock on earth because he's seldom right about anybody. You know how I found out about Patrick Mahomes? There's only one network I heard talk about him. I heard his name mentioned 3 times. All 3 times were on the same network, the NFL network. I heard him talked about on a mock draft that they did, which you can watch on YouTube. I heard them talk about him on Good Morning Football. And I heard them talk about him on this other show called Path to the Draft. Because I live in Michigan and I don't watch much Texas games, I didn't know who that guy was, tape-wise. I knew the name, but I hadn't watched any of his tape because he's a Texas QB, comes from the air raid. His stats are gaudy because they run the air raid. When I started watching tape on him, I started to really like what he did. Deshaun Watson, obviously saw him. He's from Clemson. The ACC, I see most of their games. Watched a lot of tape on Deshaun Watson. Like Deshaun Watson. He was talked about on NFL Network. But Fox and ESPN talked about Mitchell Trubisky. And why didn't they talk about Deshaun Watson? Oh, because he might not have the leadership ability. He may not have the football IQ right this minute. Those are racist tropes for those of you who aren't paying attention. They always say that about the white guy. Oh, he's a big leader. Even though a lot of the time he's not. I'll give you a prime example of one of those. You know who they would probably call a leader coming out of college today? Eli Manning. Was he? No. He was a quiet guy. Peyton would tell you what to do. Eli, not really. They're like, it wasn't that he didn't lead, it's just that he led a different way. He wouldn't yell at you. He would be the quiet guy who'd pull you aside and, hey, where Peyton would get in your face and yell at you. But anyway, I just find it interesting that he's, once again, hyping up the white guy, not talking about arguably the better talent guy. Am I saying that Zach Wilson isn't talented? Of course not. I think that he did a phenomenal job this year. I even went back to some of his 2019 tape, and I noticed that he had some nagging injuries. So that's a question on him. I don't think it will ding him on the board enough to matter. But, yeah, anyway. Moving on. After that, he says Fields goes 3, 4 goes Lance. Compared him to Josh Allen because he's from a small school and may need a year to sit. Yeah, other than the small school part, that's the only thing he has in common with Josh Allen. Josh Allen came from a system that didn't use him properly, and the comparables to Josh Allen coming out were of Cam Newton. Trey Lance coming out doesn't have that comparison, so maybe you shouldn't compare him to Josh Allen. Just a thought. 5, Slater coming will be picked because the Bengals are a conservative organization. You say that like it's a bad thing. Sometimes picking the guy that's flat out in front of you isn't a problem. Pitts because we'll go to the Dolphins because they don't have enough playmakers, and you give them a good tight end. Did you forget about Durham Smythe and Gesicki? Oh, that's right. They're old news because you're the guy that goes with the trendy stuff. Not saying that Pitts would be a bad pick there, just saying you seem to forget they have tight ends that can play. 7, Chase, fine. That's what I put fine. Not going to argue with you on that. I think that'd be a great choice for the Lions if that's who's available at that point, assuming that Sewell is gone. Then he says, the Lions will look ridiculous if they trade for Goff and give him nothing, and the Rams get Stafford and look amazing. Hey, Colin, I don't know if you've ever paid attention to this. The Lions have been a laughingstock for years. Don't think they really care anymore at this point. In fact, I've been trying to say that the Fords should just sell the team because they suck. Also, it'd be nice to get a new owner because the Fords don't know what they're doing. Also, it'd be cool if we would hire GMs who don't work for Ford and have no idea what they're doing. Yeah, I remember they did that a couple years ago. The guy that was the general manager of the Lions. I say ours because I live in Michigan, so that's the regional team. Yeah, did he have anything to do with football? No, but he was hired anyway. 8, Panthers take Sewell, use Teddy, or get Sam Darnold. Okay, like I said, you're beating a dead horse. Sam Darnold's trash. 9, Broncos get Parsons. Why? I mean, I understand your thought. You get a middle linebacker. Okay. No. They're okay at linebacker right now. Probably should get a corner, since Right now, I'm pretty sure your depth is Kyle Fuller. Might want to think about getting a corner. Just a thought. I know. I thought about that for a whole 4 seconds before I went, are you out of your mind? I like Parsons, but I don't think he would fit in Denver. Unless they're going to move on from I almost said Bradley Chubb, and that's not it. This is what happens when you have renal disease. Your brain is shot from now on. Von Miller. Unless you're going to move on from Von Miller, because I think that not that Parsons can't cover. I would prefer to put him in that type of role where you cover this line, you cover this receiver in the slot who's going to break off 5 yards, cover a tight end. Otherwise, I want you going after the quarterback. And then he has 10 going to Surtain. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, that would be the Cowboys. They desperately need corners also. So that's that. As always, please feel free to come back. I would very much appreciate it. Please feel free to watch my videos. I appreciate that also. I may come out with a round 2 just for my own amusement. I don't like to do round 2s because it starts to get sloppy at that point. Please feel free to go to the Facebook page. That is 3 Eyes Blind Facebook. It's a group. I will not be able to post anything because I'm currently in Facebook jail for 24 days. Because apparently when you ask a question about somebody's mock draft that they post online, and it's a honest question, you're bullying them, which is hilarious. Even though it was an honest question, and I didn't degrade them or anything at all. But anyhow, so in 24 days, if it's, I don't remember if it's request or not. If it is, I'll get to it as soon as I can. In the meantime, I will try to put out more content. I know that I'm behind on that. There's not a lot going on. So I will give you a breakdown eventually of the pro days that I didn't see. The one that I did see is, of course, clips from my team, Notre Dame. And of that, Nick McLeod blew me away with his speed. I got to rewatch his tape now. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, stunning as always. And Book's the other one I think is very underrated, and I still have a 3rd to 5th round grade on him. I wouldn't be surprised if he slips past that, but it's one of those where you go, if you need a good backup, I keep thinking of the Falcons, where you go, you can get somebody to just sit behind him in case something goes wrong. That'd be good. The Vikings could take him. I'll go over that eventually. That's that. Please feel free to hit me up on here or the Facebook page. I do have the messenger open on that. If you shoot me a message, I will try to answer you. Again, there are some times where I just don't see it. Other than that, have yourself a wonderful day, and I will try to come back on here soonish. Bye.